All right, thank you again, everybody, for your patience. Technical difficulty is not 100% fixed, but we're going to go ahead and get started. One of the consequences of this is that I'm going to be admitting people while I'm talking, so I'll be a little distracted. This is our first users meeting in probably close to a year, I think, maybe 9 months. So I apologize for the lapse in meetings. It's been a little bit busy. But I wanted to give you all an update on what's happening with our enterprise agreement with Esri. That's the overarching contract that provides us licenses for the software and accounts for the online platform. As you probably know, our last agreement expired actually June 30th, 2024. So we've been in sort of this limbo period where we have an agreement document that is the account terms, the resource terms are fine. It's the legal terms right now that are being reviewed, and that's the delay. So right now, I think you'll hear a little bit more about that maybe from either ETS or Esri. But that's where we are now. So in the meantime, Esri has extended the current contract, and that's why we can still use the platform, still use the licenses. Those are still good while this is making its way through the procurement process. But I wanted to update you because the new agreement, when it is executed, has some significant changes in it that are going to affect not just the GIS program, but also you as users and the agencies themselves. So with that, I'm going to actually, I forgot my housekeeping item is if you have a question at any time, please feel free to unmute yourself and I mean, don't interrupt and don't be rude, but please feel free to just jump in with your question, or you can use the chat, or you can raise your hand. Because we're down to just one computer, that might be a little hard to see, and I might not be able to catch you right away. So best bet, if you have a microphone, is to go ahead and unmute yourself and just pop in with your question. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and do some introductions. I'm Arthur Buto from the Statewide GIS Program. I'm going to turn the computer, Joan, so that they can see.
Hi, everybody. Joan De Los Santos with Statewide GIS Program.
And that's it for our program. We normally have 3, but there's only 2 of us. There's only been 2 of us for about a year and a half. But we are your statewide GIS program. So call us, email us if you have questions or issues with your GIS resources. Excuse me while I admit more people. Also in the room with us. So this is a hybrid meeting. We have a few people here today, which is great. I think our last meeting we had 1 person. So it's great to have, looks like a handful, six or so people here. I'll start with Esri. Todd, you want to introduce yourself? And I'm sorry, I only have this one camera.
Hello, everyone. Todd Kingman with Esri. I'm account manager based here in Honolulu, supporting state and local government accounts. I do support other sectors as well, and other government customers across the Pacific. Thanks for allowing us to participate.
It's not working. Also in the room is Rebecca Kai from ETS, our very valued partner in managing this GIS system. Rebecca is actually here with her whole team today. Rebecca, do you want to introduce your team?
Hi, this is Rebecca. I'm from ETS, and I'm the Chief Data Officer. And I've been working with Arthur and Joan and Craig recently and Todd on, how we can better support you guys. And I want to introduce you to Jeff and Shelby. Jeff is my team, and she actually has a PhD in geospatial. So, and Shelby is new, and she has a master in data science. So nice to meet you.
Thank you, Rebecca. And Todd Omura, I think you're on the line. Did you want to introduce yourself?
Hi, Arthur. Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Hi, good morning. Todd Omura, ETS IT Governance Officer for the state of Hawaii. And I know I've met many of you before, but with everything else and with the growth of the GIS program, I'm sure there are many that I have not, but I'm glad to be joining today's meeting. Thanks, Arthur.
Thanks, Todd. And I was going to open it to agencies as well. If you have any, do you have any announcements? Craig, I was wondering if you wanted to say anything about
Anything.
what it was you emailed about the other day. I can't remember now.
No.
Okay. So that we're going to go ahead and get into the agenda. We'll start off with an update from ETS, and I'm guessing Todd Omura, you're going to talk a little bit about where we are with the agreement.
Yeah, thanks, Arthur. Yeah, it's I guess more of an introduction to what Arthur and Office of Planning and some other folks will go into more detail. But yeah, so our state, our Esri Enterprise Agreement that we've had in place. Thanks, Todd Kingman, for reminding us going back, over 3 decades, and from the early 90s and to where we're at today. We're excited to have something in place, as Arthur mentioned. Many thanks to Esri partners, Todd Kingman and his team, Office of Planning, and especially the departments, letting us know how are you using and continue to use Esri's GIS platform. The growth, as we're seeing over these past few years, has been, I'm just going to use the term, to me, it's like exponential. Everything from using it for the governor's priorities, responding to emergencies, data analytics, and so forth. So we're really excited that we're getting close to dotting the I's, crossing the T's, and in particular, these are what Arthur mentioned on the more on the legal side terminology, just so that both sides are, we feel okay moving into this 3 years. And again, we continue to work with Todd's team, and hopefully we're getting to the point we feel really, really close, and hopefully we'll see a breakthrough in the next 2-3 weeks or so. As I mentioned, the agreement is similar to previous years. It's going to be for 3 years, and but we also have our annual our managed cloud services that we've executed already with Todd's team and Esri, so that's already in place. Some of the enterprise agreement is familiar to you folks with the uncapped quantities, and then we have some changes that Arthur is going to get into later, or I guess transition into user types are just online, but he'll get into that a little later. In summary, I guess again, thanks, Arthur. I guess my message to the user, to the departments out there is continue to collaborate and let us know all the successes you're having and the needs that you're actually putting into translating that into applications and data sets and analysis to help your constituents. So anyway, Arthur, that's that's it for me. Yeah, Rebecca, I guess I don't know if you have anything to add to that too.
She's shaking her head no.
Okay.
I am actually going to pause for just a second because I need to adjust the sound here in our room because everything is coming out of my laptop. I don't think people can really hear very well. So give me just a sec here. I apologize. Todd, can you say something real quick? Omura?
Oh, test. Yeah, I'm still here. How's that sounding, Arthur? Is okay?
Much better. Yeah, thank you.
Okay. Yep.
Okay. Moving right along, I'm going to give a little more information about the changes that are coming from our perspective. So as Todd Omura mentioned, there are some changes in the new agreement that are significant or that have a significant impact on us as a program and you as a user and your agencies as well. So the most of you may remember back in, I think it was May or June, when we sent out a users survey to kind of gauge how you're using the resources that are being provided by the enterprise agreement. I don't remember if we sort of laid a foundation about why we were asking these questions, but what it boils down to is that your use pattern will sort of, or did inform what we asked Esri to quote us on. So you may not be aware, but our current agreement, our old agreement, had two different user types. One was called a creator. So I'm going to get into some weeds here. Unfortunately, had something called a creator and something called a mobile worker. A creator has sort of the top rights in permissions in the ArcGIS Online system. They also had access to using the desktop software Pro and ArcMap, mainly Pro. And then mobile worker had it was a little more limited. They could use field map applications, they could edit data, but I think they could not create brand new maps or brand new dashboards, that kind of thing, but they could update data. And it was made for people that are going out in the field and updating data through existing applications or maps. Those were the two different types of users we have in our current system. In order to reduce the cost of the enterprise agreement, we asked Esri to go back and quote us on having a different user breakdown. So they have some other user types that don't have quite as many permissions and consequently cost a little bit less. So the purpose of the survey was to kind of get an idea of where you are as users and how you're using the system and what your needs are with respect to the system, what kinds of access you need. The result of that was that, so I'm going to use creator again. We had roughly 1,000 creator users in our old system. The survey, and I'm going to try and switch now to my presentation. The results of the survey showed that, and let's hope Adobe starts up. Oh, shoot. Okay, it may not. The results of the survey showed us that only about half of those people actually needed to be able to create maps. The other users were a mix of people that were more of the mobile user type where they needed to edit data, or they were, okay, sorry, or they just needed to view maps. I'm going to go ahead and do this. I apologize because so based on the self-identified uses that you gave us in the survey, that's what we sent to Esri and said, kind of give us a quote based on these user profiles, which they did, which did reduce the cost, but at the same time, it makes administering and managing the platform a lot more complicated for us, the GIS program, because again, there are only 3 of us at best. And right now there's only 2. So a lot of our time is being taken up in trying to juggle, well, a lot of our time now is taken up in trying to juggle the number of users that we have allocated to us and how many people need accounts, because we are very close to the current limit of our account. So what that means is that when we have too many people asking for accounts, when we have too many people asking for accounts, we have to remove people. We have to delete accounts. And that's when typically we've been reaching out to managers to find out, well, can we, this account hasn't been used in quite a while. Can we delete it? And deleting it is not just a matter of deleting the account. Often there is content associated with that account that an agency may not want to lose. So we've had to work with the agencies to identify who that content can be transferred to. And then there were technical complications with doing the transfer in the ArcGIS online platform. There are certain things you can transfer, certain things you can't. You need to do something before you can transfer. So it's very time consuming. We see the new agreement as going to be adding even more complication. First is sort of a one-time process of taking those 1,000 users and going through, roughly half of them to see if they have any content, and if they do, again, working with the agencies to figure out where that content should go or what can be deleted, and then actually affecting the transfer or the transition of that account to a different user type. A lot of upfront work that we just don't have the capacity to do. So we're trying to rope in ETS and Esri to help us plan on how to best to do that. And I think I'm kind of jumping ahead in what I wanted to say, but it seems like the best way to approach it is to involve the agencies more, because you don't want us as the GIS program or ETS as the state IT folks to be making those decisions for you. So we're looking at involving the agencies more in this transition, and then longer term, helping us or identifying new users as they're brought on, what category they should fit. Because the slide I have up now shows you the breakdown, that what's in the bold outline is the first year of the contract, of the proposed contract. So again, these terms in the contract are fine. The state is okay with this. It's the legal stuff that's being worked out now. So we know that this is where we need to get to. So we've got 1,000 creator users. We need to break them up into viewers, mobile workers, contributors, and creators. And then there are these additional categories for ArcGIS Pro desktop users. So those 1,000 users we've got to fit into these pukas, these buckets. And a lot of that with the source of these numbers, in fact, actually come from that survey, which is, I'm going to skip ahead a couple. which is this. So this was the results of the survey. You can see almost everybody responded, which was great. And so from that, we identified just 91 people who are just using ArcGIS Online and need to create maps and dashboards and all that stuff. They're not using desktop at all. These other people are using the 313 creators, 63 professional, 58 professional plus. Those are people that are using either ArcGIS Online to create maps, or they're using desktop to create maps. So they also need to be this in this kind of high level category. These other people are the ones that can be kind of moved to lesser categories. We already had 111 people that were already mobile workers. So those are primarily Department of Transportation Highway folks, just a handful of folks at Department of Ag that were categorized that way. But you can see a big number of users said that they don't need to create maps. They don't need to add data. They don't need to edit data. They just need to be able to look at stuff that other people are making for them. So that's a big jump. If you answered it this way, if you answered your survey this way, and we move you to this category, you will not be able to create a map. You will not be able to create a dashboard. You won't be able to create a survey. So we're hoping that you answered correctly. There, we did build in some buffer, or I forget what else I called it, but in case people were not quite correct in how they answered it or didn't quite understand the question, and they actually need to be a creator, there is a little bit of leeway here that we have for all the categories. And part of that is to account for inaccuracies in the survey and for growth. Because right now on an average week, we get maybe 1 or 2 requests for new accounts. So we're, as I said before, we're pretty close to that limit right now.
Josh here. So how does this impact like if separate organizations have their own accounts?
They're all included here. So let me, yeah. So on this, I know it's kind of small, but that top part of the chart, that lists all the different organizations we have, ArcGIS Online organizations we have, and how many users are allocated to them right now. So this bottom chart shows where we need to get to, but this really needs to be spread out into those boards. The lion's share is our main board, so most of these are. And it could be that, you know, all 10 in the Senate need to be created. It could be that. We'll have to look at the survey, number one, but also we'll have to work with the agency, or DOC or CHIP to kind of go through those numbers and make sure they're good.
Some of those might have separate agreements with others, right?
No, they should all be under our enterprise agreement. Is that right, Todd?
Yeah, so yeah, everyone, pretty much all the different departments are utilizing the enterprise agreement software that's included in that agreement. There have been instances where in the term of the agreement, a department might need software that's not included in the agreement. And in those cases, we facilitated a quote and they purchased outside the agreement. But then in a time like this, when we're working through a renewal with the state, use that opportunity to then fold those additional softwares purchased out of the agreement into the agreement. It helps with kind of consolidating everything, helps with management, and helps kind of support the enterprise priorities for the state. So there could be instances where a state agency might purchase outside of the agreement. If the case is that there isn't enough software included, or if it's for some things that there is not that offering in the agreement. But at this time, I don't think there is. Well, as far as once this renewal goes into place, everything should get folded.
Okay, I'm going to repeat the question, and I know I'm not going to remember all of your answer there, Todd, because people online they're listening through this microphone, so they can hardly hear. John Shear asked about the breakdown of these accounts.
Well, there's some organizations that have purchased agreements with Esri directly, like Kingman or OHS.
No, it's all through, it's
They-
all through
They
the
purchased
enterprise
maybe
agreement.
advantage programs,
So
right?
Which doesn't affect the users or the
Yeah.
licenses.
Yeah.
It does affect the consulting work or what, whatever else is happening. That's not the enterprise agreement at all. The only link to the Advantage program in the enterprise agreement is that there is sort of a price list chart in the enterprise agreement that sets the prices for those Advantage programs for the next 3 years.
And it allows them, it's easier for them to purchase.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so the fact that it's in the enterprise agreement does make the procurement of it easier.
But they're not
Yeah.
purchasing licenses or users.
And the Advantage Program agreement is part of the larger enterprise agreement and the price list for the components of the Advantage Program, which allows different departments to easily procure the Advantage Program. Different consulting tools.
Okay, let's see. Pradeep is asking, Harbors has 130.
Is the question?
Yeah, I'm sorry. Pradeep is asking about DOT Harbors has 130. So yeah, that is a separate organization. It's included in the enterprise agreement, and we did survey them. Harbors was included in our survey. So they're part of this. Sorry. Highways and harbors are separate.
there's no highways.
Highways.
No,
highways-
highways does not have its own AGOL org.
Right, but they're included in the main org. Their
Yeah.
users are included in the main.
Confusing.
org number.
So our main org, High State GIS, has all agencies, including DOH. I would accept harbors maybe, and airports.
Airports also has their own
Yeah.
AGL org.
So these other ones that you see listed here, these are AGL orgs. Sorry.
It gets confusing.
Yeah.
I think the clarifying point is that with the enterprise agreement comes a bunch of different artisan line organizations. I think there's about 17 of them. There are some that haven't been utilized, but a good amount of them have actually been assigned to be used by different departments. And those departments have some of the artisan line users in each of those artisan line organizations, but everything is included as part of the enterprise agreement, even though that artisan line organization is kind of designated specifically for.
So Todd was just explaining why there's different organizations, or that the different ArcGIS Online organizations are all included in the enterprise agreement. And there are a number of different reasons why an agency might want its own organization. Hawaiʻi, for example, Harbors, for example, DocD. There might be different reasons for them to keep their users separate, wholly separate from our big conglomerate organization. Another question was list of usernames. Okay, so I'll get to that, Jenna. We haven't worked out, I'll say up front, we have not worked out all the details yet. We're still working on the details on what this is going to look like. But the roles and responsibilities for people is going to be different. So I'm looking at you, Dwight, because again, the agencies are going to be more involved in maybe not the day-to-day, but in that regular interaction with users. You guys know your users better than we do. And DOFA and DAR actually have a process where people request accounts or licenses. They have a whole e-sign process we might look at, or other agencies might look at, or maybe ETS might look at as sort of the standard way for agencies to request licenses. It has to go through an approval process. Supervisor, division administrator has to approve it. So there is awareness in DOFA at, pretty much all the management levels of who is using the software, who has access to the software. Ideally, that would be the case for other agencies as well, especially going forward, because you're going to need to identify who needs to be a creator, who just needs to be a field worker, who just needs to be a viewer. Because we have these caps. Sorry, I have to use my wheel. We have these caps on each of those different user types. So you can see that for creators without desktop, it's 155. That's statewide. All those different organizations you see. The good news is those other organizations don't have a lot of, as you can see, don't have a lot of users in total compared to our main org. But the numbers that you see in the in this enterprise agreement are statewide. So that's what we need to get to. I mentioned briefly these ones in pink. Those are ArcGIS Pro licenses. And there are, I'm not going to get too much into this because license levels is something that is very complicated and I'm not totally clear on. But there are different levels of the desktop licensing. There's the basic licensing that gives you, a basic package. There's what they call professional. Is it still called professional? Professional level.
User types.
Yeah. That has some additional capabilities, additional tools that you can use with ArcGIS Pro. And then Professional Plus, which is the Cadillac, or what would be the equivalent nowadays?
So basically, it's ArcGIS Pro Advanced.
Yeah.
Equivalent, and it comes with all extensions.
So it comes with all the main extensions, is what Todd said. So if you're a desktop user, you may know these levels as, I think, basic, standard, and advanced. So they've just been rebranded, but they give you different levels of access to different levels of tools. And there are many, so it's not a clear, I can't do like a quickie chart here that says, if you need to do this you need advanced or you need professional plus. It's complicated, and the way that we're doing the licensing right now is we license everybody at the basic level. So these are for new people. We license everybody at the basic level, and then if they run up against something that they need to do that they can't do, they're getting some kind of message saying you need this or that, we'll raise them, or we'll find out, is it an extension they need, or is it a different level they need? So
Alan is actually going to go through the different user types and explain things a little more.
Okay,
So
okay.
I'll give us some clarification. But one thing related to the slide here is we don't have a user type called basic. And this is going to be a little bit confusing because it's actually like two different technologies are kind of combining with this transition that's happening with our software. It's related to the retirement of our map. So it's actually a creator user now will have access to ArcGIS Pro Basic. So it's not called Basic, it's called Creator. It's the same thing as creator users that you see there in ArcGIS Online. It's just now it comes with ArcGIS Pro Basic. So we'll explain that a little more later with some slides.
Okay, for those of you that couldn't hear Todd, he was explaining that basic is yeah. I don't know if I think I didn't make this up. I think this came from an earlier version of a proposal, I think, this word basic. But what Esri has already done in our current environment is that when we set up a new creator account, it automatically comes with ArcGIS Pro that's already enabled. So for those agencies that are using desktop software, just be aware of that. That when you have a new user, and I'm sorry, it even extends to existing users. If they had a creator license, a creator account, they had Pro enabled for them, which was screwy. Totally messed up our license management. But that's how it is. So going forward, I think that's how it's going to be. So I don't think I answered your question, Jenna, but what we hope to do is, you know, again, we haven't worked out the details, but at some point soon, we'll be talking to the agencies, figuring out who at the agencies is going to help us with this. And then we'll provide those people, those named user surveys, you know, that you know, these people said they needed to be a viewer, these people said they needed to be a mobile worker, these people said they needed to be a creator. And some people did say, you know, I need to be a viewer, but they were desktop users, which automatically made them a creator. So we had to make those kinds of adjustments too, knowing how they were going to use the software or use the resources based on the survey response. We could kind of tweak the responses, and Esri helped with that, so that was good too. So let's see, what else do I want to say? Sorry, I don't see my chat anymore. Stop sharing for a second. See if there's okay. Any questions at this point? If you're not confused, then you are. I probably haven't said everything correctly.
It's very confusing.
Oh, okay. So our role up till now, as the GIS program, has been to manage the current ArcGIS Online organizations, the one that we are administrators for, and we are not administrators for all organizations. But we've been keeping track of the user caps at each org that we're responsible for. And when we add users, again, we check to make sure there are enough accounts available. And if not, or even if we're getting close, like right now, we're under 20 for the main org. We'll take a look at the users that are in the system, see who hasn't logged on for a long time, see who doesn't have content, or see who has never logged on, and we'll reach out to those people or to their managers to find out, are these accounts still needed? It's very time consuming, but it is necessary because as time goes on and system use grows as we want it to, as more people are using GIS as we want them to, something's got to give. So I think that's all I want to say about that, is that it's an ongoing management task to kind of keep tabs on that. Let's see, Arnold. Okay, good question, Arnold. When is the current enterprise agreement going to expire? It already expired June 30th. We're currently on our third or fourth extension, I think, while our fifth extension, while the contract is language is being worked out. And we're hoping to have a new contract soon. Will the current cost sharing arrangement change not not in the immediate future. So the cost of the enterprise agreement and the EMCS agreement, the hosting agreement, has been covered under ETS's base budget for the last, I don't know, 10, how many years, Joan? 10 years, maybe? 13 years. So that is not changing immediately. Other states, they do kind of a chargeback model. I'm not going to suggest that to ETS. What's been great about the way that ETS has handled it is that it has really allowed more agencies access to the resources. And that's why our user base has grown. That's one of the reasons our user base has grown from like 150 in, a dozen years ago to over 1,000 today. A lot of the people that are using the platform now are not what I would call traditional GIS users. They're people that have found value in using some of the GIS tools for analysis, and they're just doing maybe simple analysis, basic analysis, and they don't need our help to do that because the tools in a lot of cases are pretty, I wouldn't go so far as to say intuitive, but they're not difficult to learn. And there are other pieces of the platform that are very useful, things like story maps that a lot of people have found use for that are not GIS people. This has nothing to do with the Advantage program. Oh, okay. Yes, but so there are. Carl mentioned, asked a question about credits. Does this change how the Advantage program credits are allocated? And if viewers are not using them. Advantage program, again, is a different program than the enterprise agreement, but the enterprise agreement does come with a big bucket of credits. Roughly, I don't even know how many, but roughly 250,000, 250,000 credits or so. But we use a good percentage of that. I want to say half, but it may not be half, for storage. So all the stuff that people are creating and storing, or I should say all the feature services that they're creating and storing in ArcGIS Online are being stored in the cloud, are being stored in Esri's infrastructure. They cost us credits. But again, roughly half the credits that were allocated a year. So that still leaves a huge number available to users for doing things like analysis. So if you need to do analysis, if you've seen the analysis tools in ArcGIS Online, please feel free to try them out if you have need to do things like joins or any of the other kinds of things that you can do with the analysis tools. We have set a cap though per user. As a default, we've set a cap of 20 credits per user. That's actually, it sounds tiny, but it's a lot. When you do some of this analysis thing, usually there'll be a button that lets you see how many credits you will probably consume, and it's often less than 10, sometimes or often less than 1. So 20 is a lot, but if you press that button and it tells you you're going to consume 25 or 1,000 credits, please reach out to us, let us know. It's not an issue for us to raise that. The reason we set that credit limit is that we didn't want people to do things accidentally. Like if you're doing anything with the TMK parcel layer that has 388,000 parcels in it, if you wanted to do an intersect with that or join with that or to some other layer, even if your layer only had 10 things, it's gonna consume a lot of credits. And maybe you need to do that, that's fine, that's still fine. It's just that we didn't want somebody doing that accidentally or just playing with the system and doing it accidentally. And way back when, we had a lot fewer credits. We had way fewer credits. We had, I think, 20,000 credits or something very tiny. So anybody doing anything with credits was a concern.
There was an earlier question about ARPA.
Oh, here, 10.8. Pretty.
Yeah.
Okay, so question for Esri. You want to answer that?
Yeah, so I guess the question is, how much longer is ArcMap going to be supported? It's in mature support right now. ArcMap is set to retire in March 2026. That's a factor into this renewal and some of the different software offerings that's being included. What Arthur was talking about was some of those different user levels. We were talking about the creator that comes with ArcGIS Pro Basic, Professional, Professional Plus. Those are basically the user types that have ArcGIS Pro. That is the evolution of ArcMap. So potentially you could still use ArcMap past March 2026, but it's not recommended because you're not going to get any support. There's potential issues, errors, bugs that will not be addressed. And so, you know, for some time we've been recommending for users to start to make the move to transition over to ArcGIS Pro, learn it, and we have a bunch of training offerings to help. So yeah, that's the date you want to think about, March 2026, for the retirement of ArcMap.
Todd, do you want to move your chair over on this side? I think people are still having a hard time hearing it. What Todd said was that March 2026 is when it's going to be retired, but you could probably still use it beyond that date. I'm sorry, what did you say?
I was asking if you could, if
Oh.
they were able to hear.
Arnold, yes. I am recording this. Let me just make sure. Yeah, I am recording this. This will be, I'll send a link with the URL later, but it'll be on our YouTube channel at, I forget. I'll send out the link later. Pradeep, are you referring to the license manager? For
They
like
probably will.
concurrent?
Do they mean the concurrent use license manager?
Yeah.
We'll probably turn it off at some point. We haven't made that determination.
And you can,
And that's probably actually an ETS. We'll talk with ETS about that also.
and you could switch to single use, right? Also, if you wanted to use it beyond.
Don't know. That's a discussion we'll have with ETS.
Yeah, so I think based on the plan with the new contract, there are no longer going to be desktop authorizations available in the new contract. Well, it's going to be available up through like the first year, going into like year 2 and year 3 of the contract. Those desktop, in the past contract, we've had uncapped amounts of desktop. And so that software, I don't think you can expect for that software to be available in the enterprise agreement. And so, yeah, related to that transition in March 2026, but after that first year, in preparation of March 2026, the retirement of ArcMap. So if you have users or you are a user that's using ArcMap, prepare for transitioning. If there's something that is unusual about how you're using it that you can't do in ArcGIS Pro for some reason, there's something preventing you from transitioning, let's talk about it. And Esri and I can help think through what your options are related to transitioning over or preparing for that retirement of ArcMap.
Okay, any other questions? Okay.
question about the columns.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah. Let me take a look at that again. Yeah, these are by year. Sorry, these are by year.
So basically FY 25, FY 26, FY 27, right?
Yeah, so each year of the contract. So
So like year 1, year 2, year 3 of the
yeah,
contract.
so there's a little bit of growth built into the contract just year over year. And then the beginning numbers, there was some growth built in. Just because we don't, number one, fully trust the survey numbers, but also to account for new account requests that are coming in.
There's something about it would be helpful.
Services offered for each level of account.
So the view, when we put out the survey,
Uh,
we had a description.
There was a brief
high-level
description,
description.
yeah. Yeah,
The chart with the,
oh, yeah, actually on my notes I had, I was gonna go to the site with the user types. I can do that real quick
already
and
did the
maybe in
survey.
the, do that
already
real
did it.
quick. In the, just put a link to this in the chat. It's AGOL right now. Okay, I'll put a link to this in the chat. This can give you maybe a better idea than we provided in the survey. About what's in each different user type. What each different user type can do. Okay, so I'll move on. So the management of the platform is going to be a lot more complicated and more than Joan and I and our third person really can do. This is not part of our core responsibility. So it's getting a little too burdensome at this point, and especially with the complexity of the new agreement coming up. More than we can bite off, and it just makes more sense for the agencies to take a more active level of engagement with the users to manage their users. So again, we're working out the details, but the GIS program is kind of backing out of this part of the administration and management. So the next steps, again, we're working with ETS and Esri, work out some messaging to the agencies and your leadership. And then at some point, we'll need to identify people at the agencies that are going to be taking on these responsibilities. And it's got to be, something that your managers and your administrators are okay with too. So we'll have to figure, we'll all be part of that conversation, figuring out how this can work. But we just can't continue business as it is right now. Esri has been very generous in giving us, there's no hard deadline. So if the contract is executed tomorrow, it doesn't mean that tomorrow we have to convert all these users. We'll have until the end of this fiscal year, so June 30th, to kind of work through all these things. Again, we haven't worked out all the details yet, but we high level overview is we envision identifying folks at the agency that are going to be a little more responsible for managing this. And then Joan and I will work with that agency through this year to kind of work through the transition things, doing that short-term part of migrating your users or transitioning your users, and then a longer term of what you need to be doing going forward. And we're thinking too of doing a pilot first with an agency or two to make sure that to work out any of the bugs before we roll it out more broadly. But we have some time. I mean, June 30th is going to come up pretty fast. We're almost at December 31st. So June 30th is going to come up pretty fast. We need to develop that timeline of what that's going to look like and figure out the details of how those agency folks are identified. And I think thanks, Arnold. I'll put a little gold star next to your name. Okay. Olana. No, that's a big no. Our licensing agreement with Esri is on a named user basis. So if you have casual users, we can set up an account and then when they don't need it, take it away, but we can't create a generic account that multiple people can log into. What we have done for DOFA, and this is not going to apply to everybody, and I don't remember if we did it for DHHL, but we created some intern accounts that a specific intern can log into. But when they rotate out and another intern comes into that position, they just use that same account. So
It's still one person.
it's still one person. But I don't need to know the name. I don't need to put the name associated with it. You don't have to send in an application to get it, set up a new account every time. I don't have to delete the old account every time, which we used to do. We used to transfer content from one intern to another. So it saves that hassle. But it's not a common account. It's an account for a person. Oh, okay. I think it sounds familiar, so maybe we already had this conversation. Adrian, thanks for joining us, Adrian. I'm assuming that's Adrian Allegretti from Esri. Yeah, she put a link in the chat to, what is this? Oh, more about user types. Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, I'm probably not. Sorry, I thought I was sharing my screen, but I'm not anymore.
Hey, Arthur. Alan here from Esri. Just wanted to add on the idea of headless account. The only time we've really made an exception for using these accounts that are shared among users are emergency situations. So if it comes down to like an emergency, disaster situations, those have been deployed. I've seen those deployed as part of our disaster recovery efforts as well.
Thanks, Alan.
Yep.
Oh, I was wondering, why isn't it opening? Okay. Okay. I think that's all I wanted to say. So now I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to Todd Kingman from Esri. Do you want to sit here? And I have your presentation here somewhere. Sure. Go ahead and open it. Sorry. Okay. I think it's in the background somewhere. It's one of the Adobe.
And are we sharing the screen?
No.
Okay. Okay, great. Well, thank you, Arthur, Joan, and everyone. Thanks for giving us the opportunity to connect with you all. I introduced myself earlier, but again, I'll just mention my name is Todd Kingman. I work for Esri as an account manager, and I'm based here in Honolulu, working closely with the state of Hawaii and other government customers in Hawaii and across the Pacific. We support other U.S. Pacific island government customers, but we also do support some of the other sectors as well because of our geography. So just wanted to take this opportunity to talk a little bit about the enterprise agreement renewal that's coming up. A lot of some of what I'm going to cover kind of touches on some of the things that Arthur shared with you, as well as Todd Omura. And let's see here. So we've been working closely with the state of Hawaii for some time now. So the first agreement between Esri and the state was goes all the way back to 1991. And this is our ArcInfo product running on a SunSpark station computer. So goes back pretty far. It's pretty interesting. So the technology has come a long way, and the user adoption has come a long way too. So anyway, just a little fun fact about history of things there. And just kind of a view on the enterprise agreement term. So this past agreement was put into place and executed July 1st, 2021. It was a 3-year agreement. That agreement did expire in June 30th of this year, basically the end of last fiscal year for the state. And unfortunately, we are past that date. So we're kind of in this kind of gray area related to the renewal. We've been working on the renewal for some time now, going back to a year before the enterprise agreement expired. There's a lot of work that goes into it. Arthur and Joan have really spent a lot of time in preparation of getting to this point. ETS as well, with their support and participating in discussions and planning and figuring out what needs to go into the new agreement. As Todd Omura indicated, we're kind of, unfortunately what's been taking a long time is things are in the realm of legal terms for the contract. This is the first year that we're actually changing the contract format and language to align to a state template. And so there's a lot of work involved between the State Attorney General's office and Esri's contracts team and legal team. So we're working through those details, and that's what Todd Omura referred to as crossing the T's and dotting the I's. We do hope that we will get through that soon. Everything else has been kind of determined, the different software quantities and levels through a lot of the legwork of the GIS program and ETS. And the input to all you users. So thank you very much for kind of contributing the information to help the state to determine what needs to go into that agreement. And so we just need to kind of get through this final hurdle of the kind of contract legal language. And what's been happening since the end of June is Esri has been putting in extensions to the software. And so I'm sure as a user, you've noticed you log into ArcGIS Online or even in your ArcGIS Pro software, there's an expiration message that the software is going to expire. And then you get all the way up to that point, and then suddenly there's another 30 days. So what we've been doing is extending the software every 30 days as we hope to get the new agreement in place. Every 30 days, there's the hope that an agreement will be finalized. But unfortunately, there is a bit of uncertainty still to when that the new contract will be executed on. So as you see past the renewal, we have this box that, July 1st to kind of a question mark. We're actually at the end of the month. So we're actually putting a new extension in place that's going to go for another 30 days. It's going to go like November 2nd for another 30 days. And so expect that should come together soon. Our hope is that this will be the last extension. So we'll all hope that that's the case. So what's included in the enterprise agreement? So for the first year term in the enterprise agreement, this is what is available with unlimited, uncapped quantities. So you see there's our desktop software. We talked about this just a moment ago. And there's ArcGIS Enterprise. So this in the past has been provided as a value add into the enterprise agreement to allow the state to flex and get access to the software as they need it through desktop authorizations for ArcMap or ArcGIS Pro, the different extensions, ArcGIS Enterprise deployments or ArcGIS Server, that's for more data management system integrations, supporting collaboration and other integrations. So the first year of the enterprise agreement, that first term, this is not going to change much, but considering that ArcMap is retiring in 2026, this FY27 term is what we're looking at. We're kind of preparing for that. In that term, that's when ArcMap retires. So that desktop authorization, as we had discussed before, is no longer going to be part of the EA. And in place of it, there's a transition to new user types. And this is Esri's larger transition of users to support the adoption of ArcGIS Pro, to support availability of ArcGIS Pro, which is authorized and available in either ArcGIS Online or ArcGIS Enterprise. And there are limited amounts of certain softwares that's available in this agreement. And this is based on the survey that went out to the users, the discussions that GIS Program, ETS, and Esri have had in preparation of putting together an offer for the renewal. There's a lot here. We don't necessarily expect that everyone will understand everything that they're looking at here. I will say that where you see multiple numbers, that represents the different terms of the EA. So the first number is the first term, that's kind of fiscal year 25. Second number, fiscal year 26. Third number is fiscal year 27. And then if there's only one number, that's basically the quantity of the software through the entire 3 years of the enterprise agreement. And what's in green here are representative of changes in the enterprise agreement. So there are a lot of changes, and this is related to what we're talking about, new user types preparing for the transition from ArcMap to ArcGIS Pro. Is it okay to end this person? Okay. And then just a continuation of those limited amounts of software that's included in the enterprise agreement, specific to enterprise. This previous slide was ArcGIS Online. So there's a lot going on in ArcGIS Online with the state. We do have certain quantities of software that's available for enterprise. And the white ones are what kind of carried over from the last agreement, and some of the green items are additional software offerings that's included in the new agreement. And maybe before I go to the next step, it looks like there could be a question here in the chat. Okay, so just acknowledging the great work from Joan and Arthur, and so certainly appreciate your feedback and acknowledgement of the work that they're doing. They work very hard to make sure that the GIS users are supported with the software. So yeah, thank you guys for all the work that you do for sure. I did want to mention, we talked about it earlier. There's the Advantage program. It's an option to purchase the Advantage program and its components. That's part of the enterprise agreement. A lot of departments have found the Advantage program to be really helpful for helping think through and plan for like long-term strategy of how they're adopting and utilizing the GIS technology within their department, supporting workforce development, because not the credits, and not to be confused for ArcGIS Online credits, the Advantage program credits, flexible credits that can be used for training or consulting, they can be kind of used as needed. So if there's individuals in your department that need to take like an Esri instructor-led course, the credits can be applied towards that. Credits could be used for maybe architecture design for an implementation of something like our enterprise or server technology, integrating with other technologies, or just thinking through a workflow and a business process. And maybe you're replacing paper and there's data being collected and you're wanting a way to better manage that data and visualize it. That's the Advantage program can help you think through and prototype and pilot how the technology will support you. And with that program, you get a technical advisor that's kind of your partner through the Advantage program. We do monthly or more regularly sync meetings to kind of discuss your priorities. So that's kind of it. Oh, looks like someone else joined. Let's see was there any other questions that popped up? I don't know if, all right. So that's kind of it for that part. I did want to hand it over to Alan to talk a little bit about the new user types, because I'm sure there's some questions and uncertainty about what that is. And we just wanted to kind of quickly go over it to kind of highlight what those new user types are to help you get a better idea what to expect with the new user types. Alan, is that something you can pick up from here?
Yeah, thank you, Todd. Share my screen real quick. Just quickly confirming my audio is good, Todd, and you guys can see my PowerPoint window.
Yep, you're good.
Okay. Yeah, we're just gonna thank you for, first of all, thank you for everybody for letting us speak to this audience. I'm just gonna briefly go over some of the user type changes that were applied to your ArcGIS Online organization. Just to let everybody know that these changes have already been applied into the organizations that you are currently using, but we wanted to make everybody aware of what these changes are. Arthur already spoke a little bit about some of those changes earlier, but we kind of wanted to break it down a little bit more and address any questions that anybody may have. So today, these are your 6 users that you currently have in your ArcGIS organization. And if anybody's using ArcGIS Enterprise, these changes is going to reflect next month at the release of the ArcGIS Enterprise 11.4. So these changes will also reflect there. But for right now, what you're seeing in ArcGIS Online are these current user types. Previously, and then we'll break it down a little bit more a little bit later, but I just wanted to highlight, this is kind of like the bulk of my presentation right here, is the 2 biggest changes that you probably saw from the 2023 to 2024 is let's start at the bottom first. Like, at the viewer level, not much has changed there. At the editor level, we rebranded the editor level into a contributor level. So if you were previously using ArcGIS Online and you're looking for that editor role, and if it's you see the contributor role, think about it as being swapped out for that contributor role. Not a lot of changes there. Then the mobile worker, it remains the same. But the biggest change is, again, Arthur kind of mentioned this earlier, is if you were using either the creator or the basic, those 2 have been merged into one creator user type. On the right, as you can see here, it now includes ArcGIS Pro Basic. there was a little bit of confusion when this change happened back in June because we found some users that had both duplication of an ArcGIS basic license and another existing creator license. So there were pop-ups there that included basically all you had to do was just delete one user so that you only had one moving forward. But that has, I think for the most part, that has already been fixed. And then going up the ladder, we have the name changes from the GIS professional standard to professional. And then finally, our power users at the professional plus level. We can have another
before you
one show. Hmm?
Before you switch slides, just I'd like to kind of clarify things in the context of the state and users, because as Arthur was kind of mentioning before, the state actually doesn't have a lot of these users. It's primarily just creators, mobile workers, or field workers, as they were called in the past before it changed to mobile worker. And I don't even think they were viewers. So you wouldn't have seen an editor user changing to contributor. You wouldn't have had GIS Professional Basic, GIS Professional Standard, GIS Professional Advanced in your ArcGIS Online org or your enterprise deployments. And what those are actually, the GIS Professional Advanced is ArcGIS Pro Advanced, GIS Professional Standard is ArcGIS Pro Standard, GIS Professional Basic is ArcGIS Pro Basic. I think that's where the basic came from earlier on Arthur's chart. And then now those are transitioning over to the Creator Professional and Professional Plus. So that's where things are not really directly related to the state, but it's just good to know that, our technology is evolving, it is changing, and what you're seeing on the right is the new standard when it comes to our technology and how it's licensed in ArcGIS Online and then Enterprise once 11.4 comes out.
Thank you, Todd. Just kind of jumping to the next slide. There was an email that got pushed out earlier this year. So in case anybody was wondering what that email was about, to those that own some of these organizations, there was this email that was sent out specifically detailing out what we did and exactly why is the reason for the changes is basically, as I wrote on my notes here in the bottom, it's just the streamlining our product offerings and also just for the retirement of ArcMap. I know that it's kind of funny because we get feedback from our users why are you constantly changing your user type? It just makes it more difficult for our users because the technology is constantly evolving. And I was recently speaking with one of our our head of professional services, and his feedback of why we do these changes actually really resonated is because his reason was that it was the right decision at that time. And we're talking about maybe 5-10 years ago that we made those changes, which was appropriate for that time. And then now going to today, we're making these changes because we feel as if these are the right decisions at our time as the technology evolves. So I thought that was really cool when I heard that, it really resonated. Again, just the summary of the changes. One thing that I kind of wanted to point it out, going from the viewer all the way to the professional plus, is most of our power or our users are going to be at that creator user type. But then if we've been able to identify some of those viewer or mobile workers, those are absolutely appropriate. It just really depends on what your workflow. And then for our users that are currently using ArcGIS Pro with those extensions, there was questions that came in. Okay, so do I need to be a professional plus if I'm using one of those advanced extensions? The answer to that is no. You can still be a creator with your included ArcGIS Pro and have an add-on license to those advanced ArcGIS Pro extensions. So just keep that in mind. You don't have to be at this top level to access those extensions. It's just included automatically at that professional plus level.
And related to that, thanks, Alan. In the new enterprise agreement, there are extensions that are being provided, capped levels of extensions in order to support different users that may be at the creator or professional level that need access to extensions for ArcGIS Pro. So that has been included, and that was part of the discussions as far as right sizing the offering of technology, and it's looking at past use of the software and extensions in addition to the input that was provided in the survey.
Great. And I'm just gonna fly through these user types. Again, your viewer level is just maybe high level management that they don't really do the editing. They just want to see some of the dashboards or some of the maps that have been shared internally. That's your viewer level. And going up is the contributor level. These are the folks where they may not be creating your story maps or your experience builder, but they're accessing it and they're contributing to it. So keep that in mind. And then going up the ladder, similar to the contributors or mobile workers, again, pretty straightforward. These are our folks out in the field. But there's some restrictions there about like them being able to create content, but they're out in the field. They'll have access to location tracking, most importantly. So think about these are our field workers. And then again, kind of just jumping into the creator user types where there's kind of a gap there between the mobile and the creator, because these are the folks that are creating these maps that can be used by your mobile workers and also your contributors. This is when you start having access to all of those applications in ArcGIS Online. But now you have ArcGIS Pro, and then just kind of going up the ladder, you have the ArcGIS Pro standard users and the professional, and then your power users at the professional plus level. So I think it's best to think about like all of these users just kind of like the more of the successful organizations, you have different workers at different levels that are all working together and collaborating. So it's just really depending on what your workflow is, but to really consider what you're trying to do every day and colleagues at a different level, it works out. Finally, just key dates to keep an eye out on. It's been mentioned already earlier, but these changes were pushed out at the June release. And then again, the new user types are going to be at the 11.4 version of ArcGIS Enterprise being released next month. And then again, just the most important date is definitely that March 1st, 2026, when the ArcMap receives that retired status. And then from here, I'll hand it off back to you, Todd, or we can address any questions.
Great. Thank you so much, Alan. It looks like we might have a couple of questions in the chat here. So looks like Marcy asked, she's saying she may have missed it, but question if they are joining the Advantage program. If not, is it possible for us to get Esri trainers to come to the outer islands to train staff? Who would I contact about that? So Marcy, we'd be happy to talk to you about that. The Advantage program is an option in the enterprise agreement. Doesn't actually provide the Advantage program itself or credits to the state, but it allows a streamlined procurement of that program so that you can utilize the Advantage program. So if you're interested in that, we'd be happy to talk to you about it. It could be that maybe you just need training options. Maybe we can determine if the Advantage program is the right fit for you, or maybe you just need training. And actually, there's also a lot of free training resources that's available to users because you have an account in our Esri technology and in our platform. So we could also point you towards some training resources, but happy to talk to you about that. So maybe I'll get your contact information from Arthur after the meeting, and we can reach out and discuss it with you.
Denean's also going to be joining us 11:30, 11:45.
Sure.
Yep, that's right. Yeah, Denean or Didi from Esri, she is actually about to talk about training. So she'll give you some information related to what I just talked about. So yep, you're welcome, Marcy. And then Pradeep asked, shouldn't our ArcGIS Online profile reflect the new user type? What is the state of Hawaiʻi Analyst 1? So I'll let Arthur talk about state of Hawaiʻi Analyst 1. The new user types have been made available in the ArcGIS Online orgs, but because some of these, I guess we consider them maybe legacy user types that were transitioned over from, the state didn't have them. The state only had creators and mobile workers. The transition happened, but it wouldn't be a lot to actually that you'd notice or see within ArcGIS Online. Arthur mentioned that after the transition, after last June, creators now have access to ArcGIS Pro Basic. That's a change, but it's not a very apparent change. You're not going to see it pop up all of a sudden. You have to download the software and then log in through your creator user. And then the mobile workers, there wasn't much of a change there. So, and then I'll let Arthur talk about the State of Hawaii Analyst one role.
It's complicated, but in ArcGIS Online, besides the user types that we're seeing, the viewer, contributor, mobile worker, creator, there are also what are called roles, and roles determine what permissions you have within the system, or what you can do within the system. And certain user types can have certain roles. And I'm doing a really bad job of explaining this, but basically what you see there is SOH Analyst 1 is a role in ArcGIS Online. And at the time we created those roles, we only had creator. So we only had one user type. The roles really serve the purpose of what you're describing. What capabilities do I have in ArcGIS Online? It's still not going to be something like viewer, contributor, mobile worker, creator, because again, those are sort of the overarching user types that set sort of the cap or the ceiling of what you can do in ArcGIS Online. The roles kind of are a little more fine-grained descriptions of exactly what you can do. You can join external groups, or you can create reports and survey 1, 2, 3. Those things can be turned on or off in the roles. And that, at the time we created the SOH Analyst set of roles, that those were kind of based on Esri's default publisher role, but they added more capabilities depending on what you needed to do. So that was not a great answer for what you're asking.
No, that was great.
The roles do set at a more granular level what you can do in ArcGIS Online.
Yeah.
We are going to create new ones.
I like to
implement these.
Sorry, Arthur, go ahead.
I'm sorry.
Sorry, go ahead. I was meaning to cut you off there.
Well, I'm kind of done. Thanks.
Oh, okay.
But
No,
Joan had something. Just a moment, Alan. Sorry.
Go ahead.
Question is when the SOH, whether the roles, the AGOL profile reflected in user type, we haven't rolled out the user type. So not really. We haven't rolled out the user types, and the new roles will correspond to them.
Yeah, we're going to try and simplify it, because right now we have at least a dozen different roles. Part of that is because as Esri updates ArcGIS Online, they add new things to it that sometimes are turned on or sometimes not turned on for a particular role. And so we sometimes create a new role, or else.
The new user types are not in play yet.
Yeah.
We're planning for them.
But our new roles are not going to say creator.
Right.
Yeah.
Yep. So kind of a little bit of apples and oranges. The role is different than the user type. Right now, what you see in ArcGIS Online is a carryover from the last enterprise agreement as we extend the software every 30 days. And once the new agreement comes into play, once it's executed, you'll see a different, there will be a different breakdown of user types based on the survey and the decisions that were made by ETS and GIS program. And then you may or may not be assigned a different user type, and may or may not be assigned a different role related to that user type. So more to come once that stuff is being figured out. Another reason why we're looking at it, that first year of the enterprise agreement to kind of work through this transition, because there's a lot of stuff that needs to be thought through and planned for related to it.
Question about our templates, it's something 3126. I think that's coming to
Yeah. So that we were kind of talking about that a little bit before. If the plan for this transition is preparing for ArcMap retiring, it's not a good idea to be using a retired software from a security standpoint, from the fact that bugs are not supported, usability issues. If for some reason you have no other option, you cannot transition over to ArcGIS Pro, then we'll need to have I think it's a good idea that we talk through about your particular use case, identify what that exception is, and then think about what your options are.
And then in terms of policy, that will be something for GIS. Yes. Those are decisions.
Yep. So Joan's saying there's policy decisions related to it.
Certainly, yeah.
Yep. And again, we can help you prepare for that there's a bunch of training offerings. We have a specific ArcMap to ArcGIS Pro, migrating ArcMap to ArcGIS Pro instructor-led course. It's very popular. A lot of our users have been taking it over the last couple of years, preparing for this transition. So that's something that we can talk to you about. And actually, we're about to move to the training part with Didi, but Alan, you had another thought that you wanted to share?
Oh, no, thanks, Todd. I was just gonna quickly mention the difference between the user type and the role. Just the biggest difference is just to think about like user types as being like the licenses that have been assigned, and then roles as like the privileges, kind of permissions that you have in an organization. Whether, say, think about like an admin, that's an administrative role, can be a creator, but you need to have at least a user type of a creator to become an admin role in your organization. That's it.
That's helpful. Thanks, Alan.
Mhm.
Are there any other questions about the enterprise agreement, the user types before we transition to training? Okay. All right. Well, if questions come up later, please don't hesitate. Pass them on to Arthur and Joan. They'll get them over to us, and we'd be happy to follow up with you on any thoughts or questions that you have from the things that we discussed today. And so thank you very much. We'll go ahead and pass it over to Didi. And you want to introduce yourself, Didi?
Yes. Hi, everybody. I'm Denean Richards, and I am your training consultant. I work with Todd and Alan on getting you everything that you need for training resources to learn what you need to learn, to do what you need to do. And today I'm going to go through the Esri Academy. Is everyone familiar? I can't see you, but is everyone familiar with the Esri Academy? Sort of familiar with the Esri Academy?
I think there'll be probably a mix of, I think there's a lot of people on the call. So I think a good amount of people maybe, but maybe expect that there might be a large amount of people not. So
not. Okay, so I'm going to share my screen. And I'm going to walk you through the catalog, or the Esri Academy, I should say. Can you see my screen?
Not yet.
Not yet. Okay, hold on one second. There we go. That should be working.
Gotcha.
So welcome to the Esri Academy. This is your resource for just about all of your learning that you need to do with for Esri. This is mainly where we have our e-learning resources and our instructor-led resources. We also have some documents and learning plans. I'll be going through all of that with you today. But the first thing that we need to talk about is this little guy right up here, your avatar and this little check mark. This ensures that when you are logged in, that you are enabled and licensed to use the Esri Academy. So if you log in and you don't see this, then Arthur, I think you're probably the right person for them to contact. Is that correct?
Sorry, he stepped away for a moment. Can you repeat the question, Didi, for him?
I believe, if you are not seeing this when you log in, you're going to use your same ArcGIS login to log into here. And if you do not see this little check mark by your name up here in the right-hand corner, then reach out to Arthur, because you might need a license or might be need to be enabled into the Academy. But once you're in there, the Esri learnings are all at your fingertips, and it's really cool. I call this Esri University because it just is so much, so many resources in here and so much learning, and it's really easy to get around. So here we're under catalog. We're going to make sure that anything that you want to look for, and we're going to go through a few different things, but anything you want to search for, you can search. You can put in the search bar just like you would Google. Search broadly. Don't try and get too much in the weeds and too specific, because then it won't return as many resources for you. But you can search for courses right here. These are our tiles that are aligned to our 9 patterns of use. And you can see as I scroll over them, they are live. And I want you to make sure of a couple other things, that when you're logging in, you're logged into the Esri Public Catalog. We have a couple of others, but we want you to be in the Esri Public Catalog. And then all of our formats, we have so many different ways for you to learn. We have labs, documents, instructor-led, as I mentioned, learning plans, which we'll review maps, training seminars, webinars, and videos. So however you want to gather your information, it's all right here for you. So I like to take the path of a new user just so we can kind of start to see how you can maneuver through this. Before I do that, let me just say all of our new resources will be right here. All of our new classes, learning plans, training seminars will have this little new tab on the right-hand corner. So if there's anything that pops out to you, just know that's a brand new course. And we come out with new courses every month. So over here, I want to do that. Yeah, let's do this here. If I type ArcGIS Pro into the search bar, it comes up with another focused area. It comes up with 2 additional tiles. So we can go basics into the GIS concepts. That's for someone who's really new and wants GIS fundamentals, the basics of GIS. If you're working on something for client, oh, that's something, never mind about that one. ArcGIS Online Fundamentals. So it gets you to the basic GIS concepts. If we want to go to ArcGIS, that's going to reduce it even further from 28 to 21 courses. And now you're going to see learning plans and instructor-led courses and web courses here as well. Let me click on a web course for you just so you can kind of see what that's like. It'll tell you how long it will take you to go through it. There is no additional cost to you because you're one of our partners, one of our customers really. And it tells you a little bit about what the course is and what you're going to learn, the goals, and any skill sets that we think you should have or have close to this before you enter into the course. So you should have a basic idea of GIS concepts and or have completed this particular course. So you might say, oh gosh, I want to go back to that course and see what that is. I might not be ready for the basics of ArcGIS Online. And then they'll also show down here any related training that might be associated with this particular course. So it's pretty cool to go into those and just see what they are, read a little bit more about them, and find out if that's the course that you want to take. Let me show you. Let's go into trying to find a learning plan. Okay, here's our ArcGIS foundational. Oh, that's a certification. No, I didn't want to do on that one. Hold on one second. I thought I had it right. Here's a learning plan. Well, actually, I'm going to go over here and I'm going to view learning plan rather than trying to scroll through them. Okay, so here we are, a learning plan for ArcGIS fundamentals. Another one for ArcGIS Online, ArcPro, migrating to ArcPro. So you can see there's a lot of different subjects in here. So when we click on this one, you'll see as we scroll down, there's 3 courses in this learning plan. So a learning plan is created, and these are all created by Esri instructors, created from our team. So you know that this is the exact learning that you should be taking. Sometimes you can go outside like YouTube and that sort of thing, but it doesn't mean it's up to date. That doesn't necessarily progress you through the course the way that we want to progress you through the course. You have that foundational knowledge set up in the beginning. So we want you to take these courses when you're looking at a learning plan. We want you to take these courses in the order that they're written here, because we know that this is going to be your foundational, then you're going to graduate to this, and you're going to need to know some of this before you get into this course, and the same with this. You're going to need to know what's in here before you take this course. So just know that we want you to follow the outline of a learning plan when you have those. And again, I don't know if it'll take me back, but you can go to the learning plan, and that is what you'll select to get any learning plans. Let's see if we want to go into instructor-led courses. This produces 12 for getting started with ArcGIS. Here's a
Show the migrating ArcGIS Pro and migrate.
What's that?
Why don't you go ahead and show the migrating to ArcGIS Pro course, since we were kind of talking about that one.
Yeah.
Oh,
Here's
that's
a
the
learning
plan.
plan.
Is there
ArcMap to ArcGIS Pro. This is the one. So here you can download, because this is instructor-led course, you can download the table of contents to see exactly what's in there and exactly what you'll be learning. Now, an instructor-led course, we talked about web courses a little bit ago, just a minute ago in that learning plan. These courses are more in depth. The web courses are available to you 24/7, and you can start and stop them at any time. This is on a scheduled day for a specific period of time. And I'm going to show you all the classes in the Hawaii time zone in a minute and how to find those. So this is where online you will sit down at your home, at your office, and you will go through this 2-day course right here. It tells you how many hours it is in days. You'll go through that 2-day course and learn from beginning to end everything you need to know about migrating from ArcMap to ArcGIS Pro. You'll be able to raise your hand and get your questions answered, where if you're in a web course or video, you can't ask those questions. So it really is our most immersive and structured type of learning. We also find it to be very, very complete for your learning, because you can't stop it in the middle. It's going to give you all of the knowledge and skills that you need to be able to put to use right away in migrating from ArcMap to ArcGIS Pro. Any questions on any of that we've covered so far? I know it's a lot, so I don't want to overwhelm you too much. And you can
doesn't look like any questions coming through, but do you want to, maybe you might touch on it a little bit later, but maybe this is a good opportunity to talk about our efforts to make training, instructor-led training options available in the Hawaii time zone.
Yeah, so I did pull a page for that. Hold on one second. What you'll do is, so what we just reviewed is courses by catalog. You can review courses by schedule, but what I want you to do in the Hawaii time zone is courses by location. So I think I have that pulled up here. So what you'll see right here is your time zones in the middle of the page. And you can see all the different time zones that we work through. And you'll just click on Hawaii. And you'll see everything, oops, clicked off of Hawaii. And here's your date range. If you want to go out to a further date, you certainly can. This is everything we have through the end of January in the Hawaii time zone. So you'll sign up for a course, Introduction to GIS using ArcGIS. I can register you. It's much easier and less time consuming for you if I register for you for a class. It takes a while for you to go through the paperwork. It takes me 2 minutes to do it for yourself, or to do it for you. So if there's any courses that you want to take, or that perhaps your manager has assigned to you, I can sign you up very, very quickly. Now, as far as getting more instructors out to the Hawaii time zone, that would be in a situation where we have a group of people, maybe there's 10 or 15 of you that want to train together in your location. It just costs more to do. It takes more of the credits to do that. So that has to be a consideration when thinking about having someone actually come out to Hawaii and train you on any of these classes. Believe me, I wish it could be me, but I'm not an instructor. So all I can do is point you in the right direction of the courses that you want. But I know Bobby was your previous training consultant. He did a great job of advocating for more courses in Hawaii time zone. So I will continue to do the same. And hopefully we have a very robust 2025 of lots of learning in the Hawaii time zone.
I think related to that, if you look at the schedule for Hawaii and you're not seeing a training that you're interested in that's in Hawaii's time zone, let us know because Didi can take that back and can advocate to get it on the schedule. And as long as just 3 people sign up for the course, we can confirm it. And you see some of those classes that are confirmed already in what Didi's sharing there. That means it's just at least 3 people have registered for that course.
That's right.
So even if you don't see the option there, that doesn't mean we can't make it available.
Right, correct. And as you notice, I put out the date from 10/25 today through March of next year. And this is all that's coming in. So I'll have to talk with the instructor team to see what we have coming up after January. But this is the place you would go to check any courses that you can take online in your time zone.
So we have a question in the chat. Someone, so Michael is saying he's on the Academy site right now, Esri Academy, and he does not see the option for the Hawaii time zone. He's wondering if it would be related to his user status.
It shouldn't be. So if you go to courses by schedule, and then you come down to Hawaii time zone and click on Hawaii time zone, you should see everything.
Yeah, so Michael, I don't think it should limit it for you. Are you not, so you're still not seeing it? Maybe, are you under the courses by schedule, Michael? Okay, you found it.
Cool. It does take a little while to maneuver through here. So if you're looking for something and you can't find it, please let me know and I'll be happy to point you in the right direction or just send you the link for it. That's easy to do. So we don't have any by location. If you look at courses by location, you'll see these are the different areas where we have instructors and where they travel to train, but we don't have Hawaii on here yet. Hopefully we can get that happening in the next year and get some very lucky instructors to travel to Hawaii and meet you in person. We also have a little tab here for new and retired training. So again, we're just moving right along this course here, or this line here, and click on new and retired training. Our new training is here. Those that are pending retirement are here, and those are retired are here. We do retire courses all the time. Not our most popular ones. So you don't have to worry about the most popular ones being retired. Sometimes a new version will come out and there'll just be a new version, updated version of ArcMap Pro, or introducing using charts in ArcGIS Pro. This just came out. These are the brand new ones. GeoAI has been extremely popular. Any of these are interesting to you, you can always just kind of poke around and say, hey, I wonder if they have any new training, and you'll find them here, the last 3 months of them. Okay, learning plans. I want to go over a learning plan with you. These are fun. So again, what you would do is search for a plan in the search bar. And right now we're viewing all of the catalogs. So again, we want to be in the Esri public catalog. That's your catalog. That's what you have access to. And then we can sort by, let's see, we want our basics. That's pretty broad. So then we search for, we have one for ArcGIS fundamentals. That's pretty much the same thing. We also have one for ArcGIS online fundamentals, depending on which program you're using. So let's click on this. And again, it tells you what the course is about, or what the learning plan is about, and your goals, and what software you'll be working with when you're in the plan. So here we go. I think this is the one we looked at before. GIS Basics, GIS Online Basics, and ArcGIS Pro Basics. And you'll see the amount of time they take here. Really, really easy to do. And all of that is going to show up in your My Academy. So if you want to view your dashboard, you're actually going to be viewing my dashboard. You'll have your learning activity over here. You can, this is a video that I downloaded, a training seminar that I watched or that I took. You can watch it again. If you are interested in seeing, or maybe you forgot a little piece of something in a seminar or a MOOC or a class that you, not an instructor-led class, but any of your e-learnings, you can watch it again here. It'll all be in your learning activities. So instead of going back into the academy and trying to research and figure out which class it was that you took, you just come over to My Academy, go into your dashboard, and you'll see all of your learnings here. You'll also see if there's anything on your calendar that has been scheduled. So this one just ended. I've signed up for the MOOC for August 27th through October 8th, and allows you to view the event over here. So I have 18 courses that I would like to take, but I have not completed any of them. What a bad learner I am. I should really get on that. And then for some of our instructor-led courses, not all of them, you'll see over here, some of the instructor-led courses have a pre and post class assessment for you. So we can see by answering a few questions where you are before you take the course and after you take the course. You can actually measure how much you've grown in your skill set and knowledge, which is pretty cool. And here's your wish list. There's a little heart attached to every course. And if you click on that little heart, I'll show you that in a minute, then you'll be able to see that it'll show up here in your wish list. And sometimes we forget about courses that we'd like to take. And so it's good to just click on those little hearts and then they pop right in here into your dashboard. And then here are the learning plans. Again, terrible student I am. I've only completed 17 of this one and 10% of this one. So I will jump on that when I can. Move on over that. The last thing that I would like to show you is our MOOCs. MOOCs stand for Massive Open Online Course, and they're free to you. We have them 6 times a year, or 6 different courses a year. Sometimes most of them rotate and they're updated for the new technology and software that we have, but every now and then we pop in a new one. So the next one that opens up will be Going Places with Spatial Analysis, and it opens on January 9th. But you can sign up for the class right now. And the really cool thing, you can see what this is about, download the code, download the course topics, and understand the goals that are going to be obtained in the MOOC, and then the software that will be provided to you in that course, which is cool. If you haven't, these are all very basic, but if you have not used a particular piece of Esri software and you'd like to see what that's like, you can take a MOOC that has that software in it. The nice thing about MOOCs too is that they're really a different type of learning experience because we have thousands of people from all over the world that are taking them at the same time. So you have the ability to go into the chat and talk to maybe someone from Delhi or New Delhi or from Paris that is taking the same MOOC and that is maybe working on a project that's kind of similar to yours. And you can ask them how they're working through that. And you can give them support, they can give you support, you might learn some new things. It's a really cool way to have that global learning aspect for you. And it's the only way you can really get that is through one of our MOOCs. But I encourage you to go through those and sign up for anything that looks interesting to you. It's not like you're going to have them, they're going to get impacted and we won't have any more room for you. It's not like that. We have plenty of room for everybody, but it'll keep it on your calendar. It'll go back into your Academy dashboard. You'll show that it's there. It'll pull up on your schedule. It'll notify you when you're ready or when it's ready to happen.
I've heard a lot of good things about the cartography MOOC.
Yes.
Yeah, and I think everyone could learn more about cartography. I think there's a lot that you can do when it comes to like the visual aspect of the maps and how you're representing the data to make it more interesting and easy to understand from users.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a great point. And cartography is the basis of maps, right? And maps are the basis of GIS. So it's all related. And I used to work with some cartographers way back when, and it's a dying art, but very cool to learn about and gives you a great understanding of really what it is and where maps come from, how they're made. Any other questions?
Looks like there's a question in the chat, but Alan has addressed it.
Okay, perfect.
Accessing courses through maintenance.
I would suggest log in, play around, poke around. Definitely these are the tabs that we went through today. Also, go up here to your My Academy and go through that and understand what's in there. Oh, let me show you how to sign up for something that's on your wish list. Okay, see this little heart right here? Click that and it's automatically added to your wish list in your Academy, in My Academy. It'll show up under your wish list. And then you'll never lose a course you want to take, which is very exciting.
So I know we're at time. I did want to thank you so much, Dee Dee. It doesn't look like there's any questions, but before we kind of wrap up, I did want to kind of mention we have like a nice surprise coming up. Jack Dangerman is going to be in town in a couple weeks. He's coming to Honolulu for a big distributors meeting, and he's going to actually be make himself available to connect with the users. So the morning of November 7th from 9 to 11, we're looking at, we're still in the process of kind of planning things. And the state GIS program, HIGICC, the city and county of Honolulu are all involved in helping to kind of coordinate things to get a space available and do the logistics to allow Jack to meet with the users and speak. It's been a long time. I think it's been over 10 years since he's actually been in town here. So this is a really exciting time. So I guess this is a little bit of an early announcement for the state GIS users on the call. Be on the lookout for an announcement to come. It's going to be coordinated through HIGICC and the GIS program, and the GIS program is going to pass along that invite, I believe, to the user group. So be on the lookout for that. Really exciting time. This is kind of an unusual rarity that we're going to have the chance to have Jack out here to connect with the users. So more to come.
Very cool.
Okay. November 7th, morning of November 7th. Okay, I guess that's it, Dee Dee. I think we're done with our segment. We'll pass it back on to Arthur.
Great.
Thanks again, Dee Dee. Thanks, Todd and Rebecca, Todd, Omura, the many Todds. Thank you all for joining us today. I just want to refer back to what Dee Dee was talking about. You might have said this, Dee Dee, but those courses, those online courses that are on Hawaii time, there's a fee for those. So just be aware of that. Those are all instructor led. And even on the learning plans that she showed, most of that is going to be free. If it says free or requires maintenance, you as a state user have access to those. But if it says instructor led, there's a cost associated with that. So you'll need to plan for that. With that, I would say to all the users, just be on the lookout. You'll be hearing more about what's coming, but just from a broad overview standpoint, just be ready. Changes are coming.
Version of ArcGIS Pro. I think there's a newer version on the SharePoint site.
Okay. Joan says there's a newer version available on the SharePoint site. Yeah, so not sure which one that is. But thank you all again for joining today and have a great weekend. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Take care, everyone.